Good afternoon, I'm Vashon Brown with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. Our reminder as well that you can watch TVJ live by downloading our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1 followed by the words Spot Media. Government Senator Pernel Charles Jr. has appealed for senators to unite in passing the Zones of Special Operations Bill. Debate on the bill started in the upper house this morning and is continuing at this hour. Senator Charles Jr., who piloted the bill, reiterated that it is not a knee-jerk response to crime, but a tool to combat the rampant violence which is becoming a norm in some communities. In the meantime, opposition Senator Mark Golding says several issues, including poverty and improper housing in crime-related communities, lack of resources for the security forces and the Ministry of Justice, are some of the issues creating crime. He says this Zones of Operations bill does not address any of these issues. He points out that most of the powers now given to the police are already in the Constabulary Force Act. He, however, has taken issue with the Senate not having a say in the extension of established zones. He says while the bill gives the police and military the power to seize property without warrant, it does not give members of the public any recourse action in claiming this property. 3 men are in police custody after police seized 50 rounds of ammunition in St. Thomas on Wednesday. According to police reports, about 2 p.m., the police were conducting an operation in the parish when they observed suspicious action from a silver motor car. The police stopped and the vehicle searched. Now they found 50 12-gauge cartridges. The men were then arrested and the vehicle seized. It's reported that the men are not from the parish. The St. Thomas Criminal Investigation Branch is now conducting an investigation. Another public hospital has started to experience the effects of the crime wave, with conditions worsening as more victims of violent crimes seek treatment. A day after the Kingston Public Hospital, KPH, announced that it was only accommodating emergency surgeries because of the high number of crime victims, the Maypen Hospital in Clarendon is about to face a similar situation. Senior Medical Officer for the hospital, Dr. Bradley Edwards, warns that the volume of patients is almost overwhelming and the trauma has started to take a toll on staff members. The St. Anne's Bay Hospital in St. Anne, which has been suffering from a shortage of beds, was yesterday provided with 50 new beds. They were handed over to the hospital by Food for the Poor. Speaking with TVJ News, Senior Medical Officer at the hospital, Tanya Hamilton, says the facility has been faced with the issue of overcrowding for far too long. She also highlighted another issue that affected the male surgical ward at the hospital, which led to the overcrowding.
We had a male surgical ward where the roof was actually affected. During rain season, you'd have leaking of the roofs. What this has enabled us in obtaining beds and so on is enabled us to reduce the overcrowding situation in the accident and emergency area. And so we are happy because instead of patients having to wait long hours in chairs, they now can lie comfortable in lovely beds.
She says the beds are a vital addition to the hospital as they will allow for a speedy process and better treatment of patients.
What this means, accident and emergency, we'll be able to see emergent patient in real time.
And we're back in Clarendon, where the Maypen police have released the photograph of the individual wanted for questioning in relation to a fatal crash on the Bustamante Highway last Saturday. The police say Sanjay Jean-Paul Morrison failed to show up at the police station after being treated at hospital following the incident, which claimed the life of 37-year-old Anne-Marie Rose from Fraser's Content in Spanish Town, St. Catherine. She and her boyfriend were passengers in the car being driven by the 23-year-old Sanjay Morrison, who is also of a St. Catherine address. The vehicle ran off the bridge and onto the Glenmuir Road below sometime after 3 o'clock Saturday morning. The police initially believed Morrison was a woman, but further investigations revealed he was a man dressed in female clothing. Persons who may know of his whereabouts are being asked to call the Maypen police at 986-2208. That's 986-2208. The Director of Children and Family Program, Audrey Budai, says the agency is presently in dialogue with the St. Anne Municipal Council and the Education Ministry about what used to be the Windsor Girls' Home. Now, the home was closed some time ago because of a security problem. Ms. Budai says they're looking at how best to use the property.
So, whilst that discussion is ongoing, we think that we will leave that to the end of that discussion to see what happens. It was a community situation, so the thinking now is that we do not see ourselves opening, especially a female facility right there at this point in time. But discussions are ongoing with the municipal council to see how best we as government can collaborate and that the use can be to the betterment of vulnerable people one way or another.
Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips says Jamaica should place greater focus on agriculture. He was speaking at the recent Norman Manley Lecture and Banquet organized by the PNP's Region 5 in Mandeville, Manchester. Dr. Phillips says Norman Manley revolutionized agriculture.
The establishment of a Ministry of Production with agricultural development as the main plank, the settlement of tenants permanently on the land they occupied, acquisition of lands for farmers using land bond issues, provision of irrigation, soil surveys, electrification, the establishment of food forests, and making Jamaica self-sufficient food.
Meanwhile, more accolades were showered on former Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller. At the function, she was hailed as a woman of indomitable spirit and courage. She was also hailed as someone who cared for the poor. The Consumer Affairs Commission, CAC, says the results of its annual school textbook survey will be released in early August. CAC Chairman Kent Gammon disclosed that the exercise will get underway at the end of this month.
In continuation of our partnership with the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, we will survey a list of approximately 133 popular texts from the Ministry's approved 2017-2018 supplementary book lists for infant, primary, grade 7 to 9, CSEC, and CAPE syllabuses. We are hoping to have the results of that textbook survey by the second week in August, which will give us time to make the right informed decisions before we make our purchases. Parents and guardians may use the Commission's price inquiry tool, incidentally, which is on our website, which you can use to make informed decisions before you make a purchase.
The Ministry of Labour has intervened in the dispute involving workers at the Jamaica Railway Corporation, JRC, and the management of the state-run entity. It has called the parties to a meeting on Monday. Unionized employees at the JRC staged a sit-in between Monday and Wednesday to protest the non-payment of allowances and fringe benefits. The group, which comprises gatekeepers, linesmen, drivers, engineers and administrative staff, has been working to rule since yesterday.
We don't hear from management to meet with us at the Ministry of Labour. We have no alternative but to intensify our action. In light of that, we will demonstrate that the train should not roll and also that all the security guard will pull stump. And the train controllers cannot give the conductors out there a clear signal that all is well on the corridors where the train will travel.
And it's time now for Fact or Fiction feature. We're asking, fact or fiction, former Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller was awarded Honorary Doctorate of Human Letters by the Union Institute in Miami, Florida. And we'll tell you whether that's a fact or a fiction at the end of the sports segment of the Midday News. We go now to news overseas. The German police have sought to prevent small groups of mostly anti-capitalist protesters from disrupting the G20 summit in Hamburg. World leaders, including U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian leader Vladimir Putin, are to meet for talks at the summit. Officers dressed in riot gear intervened as protest groups staged sittings across the city, blocking roads. We go to the CNN for the very latest.
We just saw the water cannon being brought in. There it is there. It's already dispersed water twice on the protesters. You can see they're soaking wet. It was interesting. Right as the water cannon came up, everybody brought out their wet weather gear, their umbrellas. They're determined to stay, but they say they will not violently resist the police, that this is a sit-in. If they are forcibly removed, they say they'll have to be carried out. But otherwise, this is their symbolic protest, they say, and disrupt the G20 summit. And so what we see now is police have already given them 2 warnings to disperse. Now they've brought in the water cannon. We'll see what extra steps police take. There goes the water cannon again. But this is basically the process police are using to remove these protesters who right now are blocking the intersection because they're hoping to stop delegations from actually reaching the summit. So that's what protesters there are trying to do. You can see how powerful the water is just by the way people are reacting to it. You see the way it's just pushing against them there. This is a pretty powerful jet of water that comes out of these water cannons, but it's not removing the protest.
In sports now, the Reggae Boys have made one change to their 23-man squad as they get ready to jet off to the CONCACAF Gold Cup today for their opening fixture against Curaçao in Group C on Sunday in San Diego. Overseas-based striker Dever Orgil, who picked up an injury on club duties, has been replaced by defender Sean Francis.
He has been replaced. CONCACAF has approved the request that we made. In comes Sean Francis for him, right, Coach?
Yes, definitely.
Orgil got injured in a cup game that he was playing in Austria, so we had to replace him on medical conditions. That is approved. Sean Francis is in.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Jamaica's team to the World Youth Championships in Nairobi, Kenya, also got an additional member ahead of their departure later today.
Anya Ashley has been added in the girls for long jump.
Ah, there we go.
So we moved from 24 to 25 right there.
And we're still in sports, this time cricket. The West Indies lost their 5 one-day international series against India 3-1 after going down by 8 wickets in the final match at Sabina Park today. Electing to bat, the Caribbean men laboured to 205 for 9 from their allotted overs. Shai Hope 51, Kyle Hope 46, Jason Holder 36 and the Jamaican Ravman Powell with 31 were the leading scorers. Pacers Mohamed Shami 4-for-48 and Umesh Yadav 3-for-53 were the pick of India's bowlers. Set 207 to win, India raced to 206 for 2 in 36.5 overs. Captain Virat Kohli led the way with a majestic century, his 28th in one-day internationals. Kohli ended unbeaten on 111 from 115 deliveries, while Danish Ratic contributed 50 not out in an unbroken third-wicket stand of 122. Holder blamed the loss on another disappointing display.
Well, as I said, we weren't able to keep our wickets intact at crucial stages of the game. We lost wickets every time we seem to be gathering momentum. I can't put it down to the pitch. Just poor shot selection at the time. I felt that a few of our batsmen got up with some big overs, where we could have consolidated a little bit more and pushed the game a little deeper. But having said that, I must say credit to the bowlers. I think the bowlers came out and tried. The entire series they've been pulling us out the heart most of the time. So credit to them.
Meanwhile, Kohli praised his team's ability to recover from Sunday's loss in Antigua.
Yeah, very satisfying. Last game, the batting plans didn't come together well, and that can happen when there's a low total, and we've seen a lot of low total victories in the past, especially defending the low totals. And when you get into a zone where runs are hard to come by, then the pressure builds on. So today again the total was low, but I felt like I should have spent more time at the wicket in the last game, and I decided to sort of dig in more, build a partnership with Ajinkya, which was important.
And finally this afternoon, the answer to our Fact or Fiction feature. We asked, fact or fiction? Former Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller was awarded Honorary Doctorate of Human Letters by the Union Institute in Miami, Florida. Well, it's a fact. Ranked in 2006 as number 89 on the Forbes list of the world's powerful women, Former Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller attended the Union Institute in Miami, Florida, where she studied for a bachelor's degree in public administration. While completing her degree, she also completed a diploma in computing, programming, and public relations. In addition, she was awarded Honorary Doctorate of Human Letters by the Union Institute. Mrs. Simpson Miller was involved in the political arena for over 40 years and held various positions in government. In 2006, she became the first female Prime Minister of Jamaica and third in the English-speaking Caribbean. Portia Simpson Miller exited representational politics on Thursday, June 29. And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashon Brown. Join us at 7 for a Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, have a good afternoon and have a great weekend.